So today, lads, I'm going to be doing a WNBA mock draft. We're going to be talking about mostly the first round. We're also going to be talking about, we're going to also put in Vegas's pick because, I mean, technically, like, it's a second round pick, but like, it means all 13 teams get one pick if we go to Vegas. So I'm going to do the first 13 picks. So we're literally only going to be talking about the first round. Players that I think it's really hard to predict in the second round. Because for me, predicting someone's second round pick, you got to know where they're going with their first round pick. And like for Indiana, you got to know if they're looking to even make a pick. Indiana literally cannot roster their picks as of right now. It is impossible for the Indiana Fever to roster their picks at this moment in time, unless they go and trade one of Christy Wallace, Katie Lou Samuelson, Lexi Hall, or Damaris Dantas, or they cut Caitlin Clark or Aaliyah Boston. I assume that's not a possibility, but based on letter of the law, they can technically cut Caitlin Clark. Like, if they really wanted to. If they really wanted to get their second round draft pick, they could, if they wanted to, cut Caitlin Clark. But anyway, we're going to be looking at this. So, the number one pick, the Dallas Wings select Paige Bueckers. She's probably not going to pull an Eli Manning. I very much want to put emphasis on probably. There's a non-zero chance that she pulls an Eli Manning. I just don't see it happening. I don't think she wants that negative publicity. Like, I know the WNBA Players Association have talked about maybe trying to abolish the draft, but I think there's no way they don't take Paige. I think she's had a very disappointing super senior season. She's been good, but like, she still has not had a year as good as her freshman year. She's been passive at times. She struggled down the stretch of games of the Notre Dame and the USC game. And it's not like, if you look at the points, if you're looking at box scores, it's like when I think she had good fourth quarters in both of them, but like when a bucket was needed, she wouldn't take the shot. It was Sarah Strong's time. But anyway, she's still going one. Number 2, Seattle Storm take Olivia Moss. So I think you can play a double point guard lineup with Skylar Diggins on the floor. I think that's something that can be done. And I don't think there's a player in the draft that comes in and starts for the Seattle Storm other than... there's no player. I was going to say other than Citron, but no one starts. Outside of Paige Bueckers, there is not a single player to start, so you take best player available, and best player available is Olivia Moss at this point in time. There's another way you can go. You can go with Malonga, but for me, Olivia Moss is the quite clear number 2 in this year's draft. At number 3, the Chicago Sky. There is a player that everyone thinks the Sky are going to take, and I think based on their free agency signings, it's a little bit less likely. Like, I think with the likes of Kia Nurse on the team, with Beck Allen on the team, I think the Sky can just go and... I think they can swing for upside because they're going to be decent even without a draft pick this year. By decent, like, they're going to be high lottery. They're going to be like 5th pick in the draft, or like 6th pick, or low play, or 8th seed. Like, it's one or the two. They're either going to be high lottery or 8th seed, and like, it's a for the sake of a Sonia Citron, who could fit, is a tough player. When you have the opportunity to draft Dominique Malonga, I don't think they're going to be dumb enough to not take Dominique Malonga. Dominique Malonga is somebody that, if it wasn't Dallas Wings picking at 1, I would consider taking at 1. She's probably not, because of prioritization rules, going to be able to come to the WNBA next year, because she's playing in France, so there is a bit of an issue there. She will be over soon. She is 19 years old. She is dunking with ease. She can shoot the 3. She can shoot the mid. She runs unbelievably fast, and she is a freak athlete. 6'6", 7'2" wingspan. She is the best big prospect in the WNBA since Breanna Stewart. Since do you consider Aja big though? I don't know. Now she plays more like a big guard. But I was about to say since Brittany Griner. But it's between her or Aja for the highest upside since Brittany Griner. And that is why you don't pass up on that at 2. You don't. You actually don't. At 3. At number 4, the Washington Mystics select Cheyenne Sellers. The Mystics need a point guard. Straight up, they need a point guard. And this is a draft where, after Olivia Miles, you have to choose what you want in a point guard. Do you want someone who's kind of big, can play a bit of the one, can be a modern point guard in a modern basketball? Or do you want to go and take the 5'6" Georgia Amore? Or do you want to pray to that Tahina Paopao can play point guard? Like, just because Tahina Paopao is shorter than Cheyenne Sellers does not mean she's a better point guard. So, for me, Cheyenne Sellers in here as the number 4 pick, like, it makes a bit of sense. So I'm going to have her going there. With the number 5 pick in the WNBA draft, the Golden State Valkyries, with their first pick as a franchise, if Malonga's there, I think they take Malonga after taking Janelle Salone. They take Kiki Iriafen. This is a pick I don't like. I really don't like Kiki Iriafen as a player. I think her motor isn't as high as people think. I think she's a bad shot blocker. She's a mediocre defender. She plays like a center on offense and can guard threes. There's very little spacing when she's on the floor. She's a good defender, not a spectacular defender. There's a lot of issues with Kiki Iriafen's negatives, and I don't think her positives are good enough to outweigh her negatives. There's no way she is getting taken before 5, and there is a possibility if she falls, if she is not taken a 5, there's a possibility she might go to 7 at New York. If New York don't trade that pick. With the 6th pick, the Mystics select Tahina Paopao. Yeah, I think they're going to select Tahina Paopao because she is a player who can slide between the 1 and the 2. She can play a bit of 1, she can play a bit of 2. I think Cheyenne Sellers is there as well. Is a team that does not have a point guard. If you look at wings for this team, they've got under contract Carly Samuelson, Ariel Atkins, what's her name? Brittany Sykes, Emily Engsler, if you consider her a wing. They've got so many players that can play the wing. And at the point guard position, they've got an out-of-position Jade Melbourne. That's kind of it. That's really it. That's all they really have at that point guard position. So, I do think that because Tahina Paopao has a bit of positional versatility, she's a lights-out shooter, I think she's going to be taken over the other quote-unquote shooter who's not shooting well in the draft. And with the number 7 pick, the New York Liberty gets Sonia Citron. Sonia Citron is a glue guy. She is a glue piece. Like, a lot of people are like, oh, how can she fall that far? I'm sorry. She is a mediocre shooter who is a solid defender and a disciplined defender. She can't guard really fast point guards. She is not shooting the ball that well this year. She's clearly the 3rd best player on her team. Like, her points per game, 13.1. Her points are going to be 4 points per game from last year. But, like, on the season, she's shooting 35% from 3, but she has a lot of hot games and a lot of cold games. Shoots a lot better at home than away. Like, Citron, I think Citron's stock has been so overvalued by the fact that she is disciplined on defense. Like, what she is really good at on defense is just face guarding a player. She's ultra disciplined. She's a good off the ball defender. It's hard to shake her, but she's not that good an on-ball defender. She's not that good an on-ball defender. So it's like, and she's a good, not unbelievable shooter. I get it, she's 6'1", but I think 7's around the spot. I think 3 is, if you're taking your 3 while Malonga's on the board, I don't care that you have got Cardoso and Reese. You figure something out. Convert Malonga to a 3 for all I care, but you don't pass on Malonga. And number 8, the Connecticut Sun select Anissa Morrow. They need like a home run pick here because Marina Mabry's just got a trade, just requested a trade. And if it all works out for Anissa Morrow, because she's a super high motor, running, rebounder, no jump shot whatsoever, no real mid-range game, everything is kind of around the basket. If all works out well, she could be elite. She could be absolutely elite around the basket. But if it doesn't work out and you've got the wrong pieces around her and you've got the wrong coach, it could be a disaster. I like Mazian's system for Anissa Morrow just because of how hard she plays, but she cannot be that high post passing guard out of that. If they do get Emma Mason to play with her and she basically starts at the small ball 5, it could be very interesting, but I do think she goes 8. At number 9, the LA Sparks select Azzi Fudd. Azzi Fudd's been good this year. Like, she's having a quietly good season. Everyone's wrote off UConn after the 2 losses in games everyone's watched. But like UConn have still only lost 2 games this year. It'll be interesting to see how they get on against South Carolina. Genuinely, it will be. But like UConn they're still a good team. Again, they're not this unbelievable like squad, but they're good. They're really, really good. And they're one of the 5 or 6 best teams in the nation. And AZ Fudd's been stepping up. She's got her 3-point shooting back. She's been driving well. She's been a good defender. It's still being limited in minutes. I don't know if she does go for the draft or not. Like, I'm making this with the assumption Janiah Barker is not going for the draft, that she's going to go back for another year. But yeah, I have her going at number 9. At number 10, the Chicago Sky selects Georgia Amore. So Courtney Vandersloot is their point guard. Mariah Jefferson is their backup. There needs to be some form of like long-term planning at that point guard position. Mariah Jefferson might be out of the league after this contract. Courtney Vandersloot will be like 38. There's no long-term there. If you lose Vandersloot and Mariah Jefferson, if Georgia Amore shows anything as a rookie, she might be a good backup. She's someone who's a streaky shooter, passes the ball really well, but is she's playing her way into being a first-round pick, in my opinion. For me, I think she's just too small to go higher than this. Like, I've seen her go as high as like 6 in some of these drafts. She's like, oh, she's the best point guard. I'm like, I agree with that, but also she's 5'6". That has to be taken into account. With the 11th pick, the Minnesota Lynx select the draft and stash Aisha Sivka. They select Aisha Sivka because, like, they need length. They don't need a player this year. Realistically, if they get Emma Messima, she mightn't have a spot on the roster. Every team can need long shooters. And a team with Cheryl Reeve coaching, long, length, shooting, the ability to be versatile on defense, and be an off-the-ball player are exactly what Cheryl Reeve needs. This is a pick for 2027 when Fee hits her, when Fee at her prime, if Alana Smith's still there, if they can bring in some other pieces, and it keeps them going when maybe a couple of the players on the team are a little bit older. But Aisha Sivka has that potential to be one of the steals of this draft. At number 10 in the draft, the Phoenix Mercury, for me, you need, if you are smart, and I think Matt Ishby is not, but I think there are people that are smart. Nate Tibbetts needs shooting. He needs shooting. And when you've gotten Alyssa Thomas there, who will create open looks for players, you need shooters. And with that, you take Gianna Neepkins. Like, Neepkins is absurd. Like, I mean this. She is absurd as far as shooting is concerned. So she plays for Utah, who just shoot the lights out. She's putting up 20 points per game as a junior. The rumor is she's going to be going for the draft. She's there's been more talk of her, and there's been a lot of talk about maybe Janiah Barker won't go. She's averaging 20 a game on 50% from the field and 46% from 3. And it's not like she's not shooting that many threes. She is doing it on on 6.5 attempts per game. And last season, by the way, on 6.3 attempts per game from 3, she shot 54%. On 6.5 attempts per game over the last 2 years, she's shooting about 50% from 3. It's mental. They are scary numbers. And for a team that needs shooting, as much as anything around Alyssa Thomas, we'll go for Neepkins. And then for the Aces, I think the Aces have so little young talent, especially Kirsten Bell might be their only bit of young talent. The thing with the Aces is they at least have 3 second-round picks. I can see the Aces going upside on this. I can see them going upside, and I think the player that could be the best, and I don't think they're going to take role players. I think they've got three picks. I think with 16, I think they might look for a Bree Hall. With 22, you need a backup point guard. So with 22, they might be looking for Van Lith. It might be 2 different types of backup point guards if they're trying to fill that roster. With Van Lith, seeing if she works. But also, I think at the backup one, you got to look at Sanaya Rivers. A lot of people are like, oh no, she's going to be a wing at the next level. She's just playing the point in college. I think it's more likely that players wings end up transitioning to be point guards than the opposite way around. Then big point, a lot of people that look at women's basketball are like, oh, big point guard, she'll be a wing at the next level. And it should be the opposite. Players should be encouraged to be big point guards because big point guards are going to be the way basketball goes at every level, men or women. If you have big point guards, It allows so much defensive flexibility. It allows so many things. And yeah, I get it. She hasn't been unbelievable this year. But Sanaya Rivers is a player that was was she the top recruit in high school? I think she's still only averaging 12 points per game on bad shooting. She can't shoot at all, but she's shooting better from three this year. I guess is she shooting more? Yeah, on basically the same attempts, she's up to nearly 30% from three, so she's getting better. She's not going to be a shooter in the W, but she's an elite defender already. She comes into this Aces team with players. She doesn't need to score. She goes and plays defense. That is all that she really needs to do. But anyway, yeah, that is the mock draft for one pick for every single team. Players that I think are going to be interesting is, I think one of Indiana's picks is going to be used on Rhea Marshall. I think Sanaya Fagan's going to go somewhere around the second round. Bree Hall's going to go early. I think early-ish in the third round maybe is where I think it'll be interesting to see. I think late second rounds where we see Van Lith. I think early-ish in the third round. I think potentially Lucy Olsen could go at 33 to Indiana. I still think Lucy Olsen's probably more than likely going to be in that third round there. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens. So anyway, yeah, that's the video. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.